What it do, y'all? It's your guy Bendu. Uh, I almost did not do this stream tonight because your boy was tired as hell, man. I'm so beat right now. But I am here to do the news, of course. And this is going. I don't know how this is going to go tonight. Honestly, I didn't really have time to put stories together and articles and all that. So I hope this goes well. Josh just hit me up, but yeah, I hope this goes well. So like I said, I have no story set up. I'm mostly just going to be pulling up random articles and just bullshit and talking. I will try to have a more polished show for you guys Wednesday, but hey, that's how it is. Them's the breaks. But just to talk about a couple of things, though, let's talk about Sri Lanka, man. Sri Lanka is. Did y'all see this shit? I know y'all saw this shit. These motherfuckers stormed the presidential palace and then went and swam in this nigga's swimming pool, bro. I saw Unholy Rome, tweeted out. My dog is. Hang on. Go lay down. Go lay down. Go lay down. Sorry about that, guys. My dog is bothering me. But I saw Unholy Rome had tweeted out. Rome from RBN, the Revolutionary Blackout Network. He had tweeted out. He said that could be us, but y'all playing. I'm like, yeah, we can't get the left to storm anything, and the right going to go storm the fucking Capitol for Donald Trump and corporate tax cuts. So it's very funny. I mean, America's a very funny place, man. Like at this point, I'm just very cynical about shit. I think I said this on the stream on Friday or whenever I last streamed, but I'm very cynical about the direction of America. I don't know why my mic keeps turning down like that. Can you guys hear me okay? Somebody comment and let me know if I'm okay volume-wise. My mic keeps turning down randomly. But yeah, that's how the cookie crumbles. Oi. Just trying a shitty British accent. I'm still doing it. I can't stop. I'm going to stop now. But yeah, man, they stormed the Capitol in Sri Lanka. I saw uprising, and there's another one in Albania. They're protesting about conditions. Kenya as well. Like it's happening all over the world, man. People are standing up all over the world. They're not taking this shit no more. And kudos. I think it's a good thing. Okay, cool. Thanks, Chris. Thanks for letting me know. But yeah, man, I think it's a good thing that people are standing up and saying, yeah, no, we're not taking this shit anymore. Fuck that. I think it's a good thing. Now, I've been hearing two sides of the story when it comes to Sri Lanka. So I've heard that the protesters apparently are anti-China. I don't know how true that is. Like I said, I haven't looked too deep into the story yet. I haven't had time to really. But if that's the case, I mean, look, you can say that this is a Western op because I hear a lot of people saying that, and that could be true. I'm not denying it at all. But you also got to realize that the Sri Lankan people are just like the American people here. That start like this is. I see no difference between what happened. Minus I think the only difference is like the Sri Lankans were way worse off economically, than the Trump people that stormed the Capitol, and the Trump people that stormed the Capitol weren't storming. Weren't storming the Capitol because of economic reasons per se. Like that's really what they weren't. They were storming it because of Donald Trump. They wanted Donald Trump to be their president, so he can continue and fuck the economy, but make it work for only certain groups of people and shit. But so like I can see people being duped. I honestly could. just like the Trump people got to do. The Trump people storming the Capitol, were just, saying the same type of anti-China rhetoric. They're just different people. They're white guys instead of, Sri Lankans and everything like that. So, I think we need to have more of an open mind about things. We need to understand and see the different perspectives on what could be going on the ground there. So, but regardless, man, I don't think it's a bad thing to challenge your government, because that's one of the things, like, we talk about China all the time, is that China leaves a country's governance up to itself. So, just because like Sri Lanka was doing bad, it could have been doing bad in spite of the help and assistance it was getting from China. That's another thing too, though. The United States is trying to frame this as if this is China's fault in their debt trap diplomacy, which I'm going to pull up an article about that in a second. But most of Sri Lanka's external debt is from the West, like from like European and American Wall Street banks and all that shit, and then the IMF, of course, as well. I think China holds like 10% or something like that of their external debt. So this concept that somehow this is because of, this is China's debt trap diplomacy, in the works and everything like that, it's bullshit on its face, because, they make up a very small percentage of their fucking external debt. So, but, I never think it's a bad thing for people to rise up against their government if their government's not providing for them. I mean, that was, or, are being tyrannical. I mean, that was the whole reason why we just celebrated the uprising of our government, when really, if you look into the history of it, you read a lot of Gerald Horne's work, a lot of our founding fathers were rising up against the British to maintain the slave trade. So, there's that. That's not a knock. That's just keeping it a beam. That's just the facts. Motherfuckers get mad about the facts. Oh, that's woke. Nah, bro. Facts is facts. Y'all know me. I don't push no woke shit on here. I only push facts shit on here. So, but let me go ahead and pull up that Sri Lanka article, because I found it interesting. Now, this is from a guy. I saw him on this chick. Her name is Li Jingjing. She's a Chinese journalist, if I'm not mistaken. She's actually, her channel's pretty fucking dope. I'd recommend going to check it out. If I could find the darn article. Here it is. So this is from Bricks, Sweden. This is from Hussein Askari. He's the vice chairman of the Belt and Road Institute in Sweden. And I think he's LaRouche affiliated too. I know he's affiliated with Daniel Burke, if I'm not mistaken. And I like Daniel Burke as well. There's some minor things I agree with Daniel Burke on, but I think Daniel Burke, for the most part, is really great as well. I've peeped him on Caleb Maupin's show. I've loved everything he's had, most of what he's had to say. Like I said, just little minor things, like things that don't actually fucking matter. Honestly, if I'm going to be completely honest with you, like little cultural things. Like I feel like, they're like, I'll say this, especially me being younger and things like that. But like me and Danny, like, you got to realize, like, you're not going to agree with everybody on 100% of fucking everything. The job, the goal is to work with people on the things you do agree with, and try and continue to work through and work together on the things you don't. So, just a little cultural thing. Like, same thing with Caleb. I don't agree with Caleb's take on, drugs. I think it's a very broad, black and white paintbrush way. But again, I think Caleb has more good ideas than, what I would consider bad. Because I'm sure there's people who disagree with my take on drugs. I'm sure there's people that disagree with my take on anything else. So I try not to condemn people just because they have, different ideas than me. Now, if your idea is like Nazism or some shit, then you can kick rocks. But that's kind of the conundrum they try to put you in, and the smear job they do on people. Like the people who are going against the COVID narrative are somehow Trumpers and Nazis and shit like that. And, when it came to the Canadian truckers, they're petty bourgeoisie Nazis. Like it's crazy. So, just be open-minded, I guess is what I have to say about that. But this is by Hussein Askari. So we're going to go ahead and read through this. Check the facts of Sri Lanka's debt. crisis. No Chinese debt trap. Now, y'all about to see me zoom the fuck in on this, John, because I have, a lot of you probably don't notice I wear glasses, but I haven't had the money to go get my glasses, go get me some new ones, but finally doing. I finally got my health insurance, so I can go, I'll have a little discount. I don't have to pay like $80 for a fucking appointment. So I'm looking forward to that. So, but y'all gonna be seeing me zooming. Oh, by the way, I should have done this at the top. I should have done this. You know what? I'll do it after this. I'll do it after I get through this segment. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get into this article. This is from June 10th, 2022. So it's kind of timely, but as in the case of Pakistan, which we reviewed last month, Sri Lanka's debt crisis and financial problems have been augmented by the rise of oil and gas prices in 2021, and more dramatically since the Ukraine crisis started in February 2022. The difference between the two countries is that the government of Sri Lanka defaulted on its debt repayments in May this year, while Pakistan is still managing this crisis. The Western and some Indian mainstream media think tanks and research centers, even many government officials, have made the Sri Lankan Hambantota port a globally known name and the main example of China's debt trap diplomacy. Although this was entirely proven to be a false story, some American researchers with background not in economics or finance, but security matters, who were commissioned by the U.S. State Department to write a report about debt book diplomacy in 2018, even stated that they will make Hambantota port the template for this narrative. The best documented debunking of this fake story of Hambantota port is the study published in 2020 by Deborah Brodigham and associates in the School of Advanced Internal Studies in Johns Hopkins University, USA. So let me go ahead and skip down to the part that I was looking for. Here it is right here. Here it is. So it says, who owns, and I kind of talked about this earlier, who owns Sri Lanka's external debt? Two essential facts are ignored when the media in the West deal with the extreme debt of Sri Lanka. The composition of the debt and the real causes of the debt. Exactly as in the case of Pakistan, China's share of the external public debt of Sri Lanka is only 10%. Western finance institutions, including the private credit makers and their ally, Japan, hold the lion's share of the debt. According to a press release by the Sri Lankan Department of Foreign Resources, the composition and percentage of the foreign debt of Sri Lanka in April 2021 was as follows. International capital markets borrowing, 16,883. So they make up 40%. And that's in millions. So that's 47%. International capital markets borrowing, 47. It makes up 47%. Asian Development Bank, 13%. China, 10%. Japan, 10%. World Bank, 9%. Others, 9%. India, 2%. So most of the debt is held by the West. But continuing, despite what the name suggests, the Asian Development Bank's major donors include, besides the largest ones, Japan and the USA, also Australia, Canada, France, Germany, Britain, and a few Asian countries such as China, India, and Indonesia. Its policies are similar to those of the World Bank and IMF. Thus, a simple look at the facts that are usually ignored or blacked out shows that China is not what it is being portrayed to be. The real culprits, as shown here in this article, are from the same Western countries where the China debt trap narrative was concocted. So, like I said, I've been wanting to talk about this whole debt trap thing because that's basically what they're blaming for the uprisings in Sri Lanka right now. Now, I'm not sure if China's invested in Kenya like that. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to blame China for that uprising as well, the people uprising there. But continuing, external debt. The total debt of the country increased to $50.7 billion US at the end of 2021, from $49 billion by the end of 2020. It is lower than 2019, $55 billion, and 2018, $52. As percentage of gross domestic product, it stood at 60% in 2021 compared to 58% in 2020. A key reason for the reduction of the outstanding government external debt in 2021 was due to reduction of new borrowing from international markets, while repayment of some external debt obligations of the government had to be met by utilizing the central bank's reserves. Internal debt. The total domestic debt of the government increased by 2,032.2 rupees, billion rupees from the end of 2020, reaching 11,097.2 billion, 11 trillion rupees by the end of 2020. This means that the share of domestic debt increased 63.1% of the total outstanding debt of the central government. The foreign debt as a share of total outstanding central government debt declined to 36.9% by the end of 2021 compared to 40% recorded at the end of 2020. The share of domestic debt as a percentage of the GDP increased to 66% by the end of 2021 from 60.3% at the end of 2020. The reason for the increase in domestic debt is due to the government's resorting to financing budget deficit through domestic sources while settling foreign debt obligations maturing in 2021 using foreign policy reserves. So here they talk about the inflation, and then he goes through all of the numbers there and everything like that. I'm gonna actually let me drop the article. Let me link it down below so you guys can go check it out too yourselves. Just drop the article down below for you guys so you can go check it out. So that he goes through all the numbers there. I'm not going to read through all the numbers like I did in the previous article, but accordingly, prices of items in the non-food category recorded increases mainly due to price increases observed in the transport of petrol, diesel, and bus fare, housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuel, LP gas, and materials for maintenance/reconstruction. Further within the food category, increases were observed in prices of vegetable, fresh fish, rice, bread, dried fish, and dal during the month. Gross official reserves declined by by 2.5 billion US dollars during the year to sizable foreign debt service payments of the government, honoring of maturing liabilities of the central bank, as well as the significant supply of foreign exchange by the central bank to facilitate imports of essential items, including fuel, LP gas, coal, medicine, and essential food items, particularly during the latter part of 2021. So let's go ahead and get into just, the nook and cranny of everything. What is the causes of the debt crisis? Contrary to the usual narrative, sorry about that. Contrary to the usual narrative in Western mainstream media, think tanks, and statements made by political leaders of a China debt trap, Sri Lanka's debt crisis has entirely other reasons. These are borrowing in international capital markets. After a devastating civil war ending in 2009, the government resorted to expensive borrowing from international bond markets for the reconstruction process. These sovereign loans for mostly Western financial investors like the American and British giants BlackRock and Ashmore constitute the greatest part of the external debt of the country, 47%. But it's China's fault. Where am I at? It was the scramble to pay some of this debt that matured in 2017 that pushed the Sri Lankan government to offer the Hambantota port for leasing. China accepted the offer in return for 790 million US dollars that were used to repay the debt to the international markets, not to China. The bond market is a brutal profit-seeking force, which has a secondary market where investors sell the sovereign debt of troubled countries to so-called vulture funds that buy the debt with big discount from the investors to later demand full payment from the debtor nations. They do not renegotiate, reschedule, nor cancel their debt. Payments must be made on time, otherwise the country will be shut down from lending sources and rating agencies downgraded to the bottom. What is worse is that the vulture funds sue sovereign debtors in British and American courts, where under the threat of seizing the assets of those nations abroad, the courts usually judge in favor of the vulture funds. He goes into the trade deficit there. Also, the collapse of the tourism sector. We'll go back to the trade deficit. Due to terrorism and COVID-19 and the COVID-19 pandemic, according to the Sri Lankan Tourism Authority, earnings from tourism have been the major, and this is something I've heard as well, have been the major contributor to the surplus in the services account for many years. The income in foreign currency and level of employment was substantial until its collapse. First in April 2019, on Easter Sunday, Islamic State terrorists launched simultaneous suicide bombings on a church and known hotel in Colombo, killing a large number of locals and foreign tourists. This was a major setback for the tourism industry. Second wave of disaster hit with the 2020 outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, which reduced the number of tourists visiting the country to a trickle. And that this key goes to the numbers here as well. So like I said, I would just go through and read the whole article because, like I said, I'm just going to be skimming through it. But what I found interesting there, was the causes that they came up with. But also, I would like to say this. So going along, the degrowth thing is something they didn't talk about in that article, though, which I'm sure, the author knows of this and talks of this himself. I've seen him a lot with the LaRouche crowd. So, and they talk about degrowth a lot, which I think is a good thing. Now, when most people hear degrowth and they hear people talking about degrowth, I've seen a lot of people basically just compare them as climate change deniers or whatever, which is fucking ridiculous because if you listen to any of these people talk, they literally like soft cushion what they're about to say with, now, I'm not denying climate change, but you'll hear them say that before they, get to their point. Because they know if they're talking to any Western leftist or any Western environmentalist, what the fuck ever, they're immediately going, are you denying climate change, bro? No, I'm not. I'm simply bringing up the fact that it's very weird that, okay, you know what? I'll set it up like this with climate change. So you have, not even imagine, I'm just going to tell you the realism of it. You have governments like the American government and the EU, people like Joe Biden, Boris Johnson, all these different European leaders who are saying we have to reduce emissions and all this stuff, yada, yada, by 2030 or 2040, whatever they fucking say all the time. While at the same time, the United States, I'll use the U.S. for an example. The United States is the third largest oil exporter in the world. I'm going to pull that up, actually. Like this, it's crazy. I found an article. The world's top 10 biggest oil exporters. Saudi Arabia is number 1. Russia is number 2. The United States is number 3. Canada is at 4. Who else is on here? Norway. Yeah, Norway. I knew one of the Scandinavian countries on here. So, it's like, for example, you hear these, social democrats here in the States, talking about, oh, da-da-da, we need to be more like the Scandinavian. They build their shit off of oil, bro. Oh, obviously, same thing with Russia. You have the number 2 largest oil exporter, and that's why they're going after them as well. That's honestly why they really don't like Putin. When Putin came in, he nationalized the oil sectors there in Russia. So that's really why they didn't like him, because when he nationalized the oil sector in Russia, he kicked a lot of the private, well, most of them, all of them actually, private oil fossil fuel companies out of the country, and started Rosneft and Gazprom and the internal infrastructure, to become the exporter that they are now. And that's what this That's part of what this war is kind of about. Obviously the war is about the U.S. basically running the world. The U.S. wants to be able to run the world and have nobody challenge that. And China poses a threat to that. And Russia, having an alliance with China poses a threat to that. Because I don't think Russia would necessarily be a threat to that, because for the most part, they just want to sell their shit and do what they do. Same thing with China. China is not seeking conflict with the U.S. The problem is that as China rises as, the dominant economic, the dominant economy on the planet, it's nothing you can do about that. That's your free market deciding that the United States is fucking trash. And we shipped all our manufacturing to that company. To that country. You can't be mad at that. Like, this is what I try to explain to the anti-China people, like my friends and things like that, people that talk shit on China and everything like that. I'm not defending China for the sake of defending China. Are there things I admire about China? Yes, there are. But I bring up China to show how you have a country that went from being like one of the poorest countries on the face of the earth to now being the second most dominant economy on the face of the planet. And they did all of this right in the United States' face, right under their fucking nose. And now that China's making their moves and doing them, the United States wants to be mad about it. It's like somebody that says, "Hey, you want to play checkers with me?" And when you start whooping their ass, they kick the board. Like, bruh, what the fuck is wrong with you? You can't be mad that They don't want people to win. They don't actually believe in capitalism. They believe in imperialism. They believe in domination. This is what these people believe in. They don't believe in a fair game. They don't believe in a free market, because there's no such thing as a free, there's necessarily no such thing as a free market. You're always going to have markets. But the concept of the free market and how capitalists described it is a fantasy. I don't know why. This is what I try to get into the heads of libertarians. I'm not the one that's living pie in the sky. You are. Oh, it's insanity. This concept that, I was listening to, I might talk about this on Friday. I was listening to Kyle Kalinske in the Jordan Peterson debate, and they got into this saying it's who's there to decide, need. This is why I don't like central planning. Bruh, you literally have corporations that do this shit. This is what corporations do. Your whole thing that you talk about all the time that you don't like is big, but that's inevitably what capitalism does. So Jordan Peterson was bringing up the fact, lefties are skeptical of big government. Conservatives are usually skeptical, or lefties are skeptical of big business. Conservatives are usually skeptical of big government, and his point is we need to be skeptical of big, period. And it's I don't even know if I necessarily agree with that, because I'm for human growth. I'm for us stepping into the future, not stepping into the past. So I don't necessarily agree with that concept. But let's follow his train of thought with when he says that. And I'm gonna cover this more in depth. I might actually clip out points of the interview, of the debate. But that concept, get rid of the government, you're going to have these big corporations and they're going to run even wilder. This is why I try to explain to libertarians, it's not going to go the way you think it's going to go, bud. You're just going to get the people who pay the government are going to be the ones in charge. The elite pedophile class, you think that are just the government, they're going to be the ones that run the game, because they have all of the capital. Monopoly, that's what this is. This is the game Monopoly. The person with the most fucking money is the person that's going to win every fucking time. That's not going to change. So that concept of this, free market shit, it's bullshit, bro. Patently bullshit on its face, because all you're going to be left with is the same fuckery. But you're just not going to have Joe Biden or Donald Trump running the show. It's going to be fucking Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk or the billionaire families that we don't know of running the show openly. Oh my God. So, but going back to the degrowth element of all of this, though. Exactly, Bill. Bill was good, bro. I haven't talked. We gotta talk. We gotta talk. But yeah, man, like the free market is only exactly as free as you can dominate it. That's 100% correct, and that is why the United States is trying to dominate it. And to some extent, I'm not putting it back. Like China wants to dominate that as well. But this concept that Americans have here of like the other day I was watching Tucker talk about like it was like somebody put a clip on Twitter like China's not going to be a good master. I'm like, bro, have you not been caught? Got you. Have you not been like paying attention to the United States for the last like forever? Like we haven't been this like if you live anywhere outside of actually not even outside, if you're like poor or black in America, like if you live outside of the United States and you're not white living in America, like America hasn't been has not been a fair master. America has been a pretty cruel, deranged, psychopathic master. So this concept that people have of like it's going to be so horrible, like people like obviously like Sagar and Jetty, Tucker Carlson, like I just mentioned, a lot of the Trump crowd and all that, like it's just insanity to think about it. But like I said, I have my skepticism. I definitely do have my skepticisms of China. And when I say skepticism, it's just skepticism of government. You're not supposed to trust any government in any way, shape, or form. That's just how I was raised. Honestly. And that was honestly one of the roadblocks that I had towards, leaning more towards into, communism and Marxism and socialism. And like I still haven't gotten over that entirely, but I think that's a good thing to have that skepticism because you want to be critiquing things. So you don't end up just going along with anything. So becoming like the capitalist countries that we see here. So that we see here in the West. So I just think that's fascinating to think about. What else? But the degrowth element, that's basically what these uprisings are about as well, too. Because when you look at the farmers over in Europe and like the Netherlands, the Dutch countries and all that jazz and everything going on over there, they're going against degrowth because they're trying to have them basically close up shop for climate change. It's like, okay, we all know it's the big corporations that are the largest polluters. The United States military is the largest polluter on the face of the planet. They keep trying to tell you China. No, it's the United States military, largest polluter on the face of the planet. So, but nobody's shutting the military down. Nobody's shutting down this, like you think this war in Ukraine that all the liberals are cheering on is good. So in one breath, they're saying, yeah, Ukraine, send them tanks. Yeah. But then on the other hand, they're like, oh, but fucking shut that farmer's farm down. Huh? And you think niggas is going to go for that? And again, it doesn't matter. And this is something that Garland Nixon was talking about. I watched, I forgot when he posted this video, but he was talking about this. He was like, it doesn't matter if you're fucking, if you're an environmentalist, it doesn't matter if you believe in climate change or you don't believe in it. At the end of the fucking day, it's being used as another scam to further enrich the elite. And if you are a believer in climate change, they're not actually doing anything about this stuff. So it's still bringing about the catastrophe that you believe is coming. So it's like, it doesn't fucking matter whether you are or whether you're not. At the end of the day, it's still a fucking scheme. It's a scam. That's what it is. And you're not going to vote your way out of it. Your best bet is doing what they're doing over there in Europe and all these other countries. Exactly. There was Steven Donziger put out this video of them poisoning a drinking water well over in Hawaii. Like, honestly, this is now that is part of my problem, with fossil fuels and things like that. But the reality of the situation is the world fucking runs on fossil fuels. I don't know, like, what you think is going to build your fucking wind turbines and your solar panels. Guess what? You're going to need some fucking diesel to drive the trucks to transport that shit. You're still going to have to smelt the shit to make this, the crystals and everything that goes. I don't know if it's crystals, but y'all know what I mean. The stuff that goes into the fucking solar panels to make the solar panels work. You still have to grease and oil this shit to make it last. And then I was watching a video about this. Like, what do you do with the shit when it goes bad? because a lot of the materials they're making these wind turbines out of, it's not it like you can't, it's toxic to the earth. So when you bury it like landfills and things like that, that you're digging yourself into a deeper hole. That's why I say we need to be focused on nuclear, not renewables, you know. And that's not me completely dismissing renewables, because there's a time and place for it. But as of right now, we don't have the infrastructure to do that. We can't just stop. We don't have the money to just stop everything and transfer everything over. We don't have any type of transportation infrastructure. Like, okay, you're gonna tell people to like not drive to work. What you want niggas to do? Ride their bikes to work? Bro, like, fuck you. I work fairly close to my, well, not fair. I'm not riding my bike to work. I'll tell you that right now. Like, now we had things like high speed rail and things like that, but we don't have that here. And that leads to the main point that I'm trying to say. They're trying to push this green energy shit at the cost of you. It's not at the cost of the billionaire. It's not at the cost of Joe Biden, Donald Trump, or any of these politicians. It's at the cost of you. They're trying to fuck you. Like, that's why, you know, a lot of these companies have their money. They keep their eggs in multiple baskets wherever the market goes. This is what they do. So it's like this is why the left is just like so shitty in America, because they're not actually for the people. They're really not. No, they're really not. I hear a lot of people talk about that. Caleb Maupin talks about that. I've heard Haas talk about that. I've heard a couple other people talk about that. Like, they truly hate the American people. And it's like, look, if that's your stilo, fine, do that. But like, I guess you're not, well, not even guess, you're not like, you're not trying to organize across working class lines. You're trying to organize across, you know, the lines of people who agree with you. And that's like, that's not a movement. That's a book club. That's like, I don't know, Tuesday night bingo, like Dungeons and Dragons. Go to your local comic book shop and play Dungeons and Dragons and talk about how much you hate your neighbor that you think is racist because, I don't know, for whatever fucking reason, I don't know. But, you know, for Dungeons and Dragons for liberals, go do that shit. Because that's basically what you're doing. Because at the end of the day, and I'm saying this as a black person, like, I realize that, you know, there are people who probably hold views that I wouldn't necessarily agree with, not even regarding race, like just regarding things like, I've talked to people that are just straight up into this, like, super libertarian mindset. And I cannot tell you how much I think hate is a strong word. I'll try to use it sparingly. So I wouldn't say I hate libertarians, because I have a friend who's a libertarian, but I cannot stand those niggas, bro, when it comes to their politics. Oh my fucking God, bro. Like, the civil liberties aspect, cool, I'm with you there. I'm usually 100% with them there. But on economics, it's just so retarded. It's like pie in the sky. Literally, like they call communists pie in the sky. No, y'all motherfuckers are, bro. You, like, literally, and a lot of them be atheists, but they worship the free market like it's a fucking god. And I'm like, no, it's not a god. It's literally Elon Musk, like, fucking with you and trolling you. That's what the free market is. The free market is whoever has all the fucking money run shit, as Bill Nichols said in the comments. So yeah, but the whole degrowth thing, like, because that was something when I first heard the concept. Because when you hear people talking about it, especially when they're passionate about it and they've been talking about it for a while, like, they're not going to continuously repeat every, you know, go through their whole, like, how they presented the first time and things like that. So when I heard people like Daniel Burke and even Jackson Hinkle, but he's a whole nother situation and thing, because that's a whole nother thing. I'm gonna leave it at that. But and Caleb and different people, it will come off like in a weird way, like because I was, look, after reading Max Blumenthal's article, the Green Billionaires thing, watching Planet of the Humans, I kind of tampered back my view of the Green New Deal and things like that, because I'm like, oh, that's some bullshit. That's a corporate Green New Deal. And then seeing how Howie Hawkins was breathlessly, you know, spouting this Russiagate nonsense and bullshit and everything. And nah, I ain't with that, bro. So that's where I was on it. But then I started looking into nuclear and things like that, like nuclear fusion, thorium as well, thorium reactors, all of these different routes that we could take for energy, basically, you know. So I just think that we need to have more open minds, like I said at the beginning of this segment. So, but yeah, man. But people are not having this shit. They're not. They're not going for this degrowth bullshit, and they're not going for any of the politicians' bullshit anymore. I don't know what that looks like. I hope, like, because I can definitely see this. You know, if leftists don't step up and step in the right way, you're going to be pushing them right into the hands of, you know, the small government, libertarian, conservative people who like want the free market capitalism to reign, when we all know free market capitalism is what got us here in the first place. But if you keep tailing behind liberals, you're never, like, they're going to see you as a liberal, and that's going to be that. Unfortunately, that's why we really have to go out of our way to distinguish ourselves from liberals. If you're a socialist, you know, a leftist, and again, I like to say that doesn't really mean anything here in the West because, you know, stuff, but you got to be diligent about that, in my opinion. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that there. Let me see what I got next. Because I pulled, like I said, I just pulled some articles. Oh yeah, I think this is a dope one too. This kind of piggybacks off what I was saying. I found this article. It's from Yahoo, but I think it's from Fortune, really. And it says Biden tells Americans angry about high gas prices that they'll have to pay up as long as it takes to defeat Putin. Again, this is the shit that got Boris Johnson yeeted. Okay, this is the shit that is getting niggas pulled. This is the shit that the Sri Lankans are fucking storming their capital about. Shit like this. But again, Americans are too pussy. The only time they're going to storm the Capitol is for Donald Trump, apparently. So, but it says Biden like I just read the title, but Americans will endure high gas prices as long as it takes to quell Russian President Vladimir Putin's Ukraine invasion, U.S. President Joe Biden said on Thursday. Did he check with Americans before saying that? A reporter at a NATO summit press conference in Madrid asked Biden how long it's fair to expect American drivers and drivers around the world to pay that premium for this war, referencing Ukraine, as long as it takes. So Russia cannot, in fact, defeat Ukraine and move beyond Ukraine. They're not going to move beyond Ukraine. They're not going into. They're like, oh, Finley, you want to join? Okay, go ahead. You're not. You guys are pussy. Okay, we don't care. National average gas prices have topped $5 a gallon this month, a new record, despite Biden's historically large release. So it doesn't not even necessarily. It doesn't matter how you feel about Russia and this whole Ukraine conflict. You know, whether you're a Biden supporter or a Trump supporter, you should know this is not. This is hurting the American people. These sanctions are not hurting Russia. The ruble's at its highest. Russia cleared like $24 billion just in gas sales alone or oil sales alone. This isn't hurting Russia. This is hurting the United States and Europe more so. If whatever's going on here in the U.S. times that shit by 10 over in Europe. That's why they out there protesting and overthrowing their leaders or kicking their leaders out left and right. If we had a vote of no confidence here in the United States, Biden would have been gone already, bro. I'm telling you right now. But where we at? Despite Biden's historically large release of national reserves earlier this year, Biden has called on Congress to suspend the federal gas tax for 3 months to help alleviate the economic burden to consumers, but has encountered resistance from his own party. When you check with them, America doesn't seem to be on board. The majority of the country, 60% of Americans, disapprove of Biden's leadership, according to a new AP and NORC Center for Public Affairs research poll, the results of which were released Wednesday. When it comes to his handling of the economy, the results are worse, with nearly 70% disapproving, including 43% of Democrats. Nearly 80% of the country of Americans call the country's economic conditions poor, including 67% of Democrats, according to the poll. Biden recently told the AP he realizes he's getting blamed with an increase in gas prices, correlating with his decline in popularity. Oh, really? Oh, really? The AP asked Biden who was really responsible. If it's my fault, why is it the case in every other major industrial country in the world that inflation is higher? You ask yourself that, he said. I'm not being a wise. Yeah, we know you're not a wise guy, dipshit. The reason why inflation is higher there is because Europe is more directly impacted because they get most of their fucking fossil fuels from the country you're telling them to sanction. And they don't really have a choice in the matter because Europe is our little bitch, okay? I don't know how many times I have to say this. Europe is our little bitch. When we tell Europe to jump, them the motherfuckers ask how high, okay? Europe is our little bitch. And until Europe, these European countries, develop into their own independence, it's going to get worse for them. They're going to go into a level of political turmoil that has never been seen, and their Europe is going to be begging for a recession. Okay, how bad things are about to get so bad in Europe? They're going to be begging for a recession. Okay, that's what's about to happen in Europe right now. Like I said, it's not going to be good here in the United States either, but we're going to have it better off than Europe will. I'll tell you that right now. So I found that article interesting. But to go along with that, it's very weird. So the whole point of us doing, this whole thing with Russia doing these this special operation in Russia, trying to get their government overthrown and then pivot to China, like these fucking morons, these non-geopolitical knowing motherfucks, these people who don't know their ass from a hole in the ground when it comes to geopolitics. In the Biden administration, just these fucking goofs. It's very funny how, we're doing all this against Russia because Russia bad, because Russia is. Hang on. Here we go. Because Russia's a dictatorship and Putin's a bad guy. Biden warms up to Riyadh, considers canceling arms sales restrictions. Who's Riyadh? Fucking Saudi Arabia. Okay, Saudi Arabia. So we're not fucking with Russia because Putin's an authoritarian, despotic dictator. But here we have Joe Biden going over to Saudi Arabia to coddle the balls of MBS, the fucking crown prince who chopped up a fucking a Washington Post journalist. The Biden administration is discussing the possibility of lifting its ban on U.S. sales of offensive weapons to Saudi Arabia. The Biden administration is discussing the possibility of lifting its ban on U.S. sales of offensive weapons to Saudi Arabia. However, any final decision will be determinant of whether Saudi Arabia makes progress in ending the war on Yemen, according to people familiar with the matter. So that's the spin. Let me go ahead and fix that for them. Any final decision will be determinant of whether Joe Biden will suck the crown prince's dick hard enough, and if they will then, after that, release the oil. Bro, that's what this is about. They're going over there to try and ease the prices in Saudi Arabia. And again, I kind of broke this down in one of my previous streams. I'm going to have to clip it out. I don't think I clipped it out yet. But the United States, this is what the United States does whenever, they're targeting Russia because they don't like them and things like that. They go to their old pal, Saudi Arabia and the UAE, to fuck around with the gas prices, whether to decrease them or increase them. I know this is also how they went after Venezuela as well. They had Saudi, so in tandem with the United States putting sanctions on Saudi Arabia, they asked the Saudi Arabians, as production ramped up, they asked them not to increase the price as well. So it fucked over the other major oil exporters like Venezuela, which Venezuela has the largest oil reserve in the fucking world, and Russia, the second largest exporter of oil in the world. It fucked up. Like, it literally sent Russia into a fucking recession. That's how bad it was. This was back in 2012, I believe. No, 2014, something like that. It was in the Obama era. So this is the risk they take all the time with fucking with the oil prices like that all the time to, go and fuck with other countries. But now Putin said, Putin and Russia said, we're going to be ready and we're going to backfire. We're going to counter whatever you throw at us. And they have, when it came to Europe, it's like, okay, you're going to sanction us. Well, guess what? If you want to buy our gas, you're going to have to do that shit in rubles. I explained it in the previous stream as well. But basically, Europe will have to either directly, themselves convert their euros into rubles and then pay the Gazprom bank, or send your fucking euros. We'll convert it. We'll convert your euros into rubles for you and pay it. That's how it's going to work. You're going to pay us. You're going to help us shore up and prop up our dollar with our own fucking commodities. And this is why the United States will always be a failure, because we don't focus on commodities anymore or industry. We focus on services, basically. We've shipped all of our industry overseas. We don't build shit in the United States anymore. I would even, this shouldn't be a surprise. We don't even innovate in the fucking United States anymore, if you ask me. Because we don't want to pay for kids to go to college. We want everybody to go do trades or some shit. Which, again, trades aren't bad. But if you want your country to be the pinnacle and leading edge of things, if you want the United States to innovate, you have to make education affordable and easy for people to come by. It's just that simple. And you have to fund education at the lower grades. Like, while you're talking about that, like, bro, I can tell you as somebody, like, and this is, like, the solution is in private school. People say, well, this is why we need private. No, the solution is, why can't we just fund the public schools that we've had for years? It's so fucking retarded, bro. I swear to God. It's so fucking retarded. But continuing, senior Saudi officials have been pressuring their U.S. counterparts to abolish the policy that only permits the sales of defensive arms, reiterated in several meetings between Riyadh and Washington over the course of several months. According to two sources, the plans to scrap the policy are at an early stage and are informal, while a U.S. official told Reuters that there were no discussions on offensive weapons with the Saudis at this point. Biden will be traveling to Saudi Arabia this week, seeks to amend strained relations, particularly for a number of items on his agenda, increased oil production and normalization agreements with Israel. And look, I talk about this all the time. It's kind of ridiculous, and this it was on my mind because, like I said, I was at work listening to the Kyle Kalinske Jordan Peterson debate, and Jordan Peterson kept bringing up the fucking Abrams Accords, which were these bullshit peace in the Middle East deals that Donald Trump cut. Like, the real resistance, the resistance in the Arab world, in that region, the people who fight back against the United States' imperialism, countries like Iran, Syria, different countries like that, like, they don't fuck with that shit. And Gaddafi, when he was alive, like, they're not gonna, like, most of the countries are not going to normalize ties with Israel just solely on behalf of the Palestinians, and for other reasons as well, I'm sure. But they cite for the Palestinians. It's kind of like not a good, like, that's not a peace deal. Getting Saudi Arabia and the UAE to come to normalization ties with Israel is not a good thing. You're trying to get them to normalize literally with an apartheid regime that is brutalizing a group of people on their own fucking land, by the way, which is fucking insanity. Like, literally, Israel's a bunch of Europeans that went and moved there, who said, this is ours now. And Britain was like, yeah, we're going to say this is yours now. Like, it's fucking crazy. It's bonkers. But somehow that gets called peace in the middle. Like, giving Israel everything they want is not peace agreements. When the Palestinians didn't have a fucking say in anything. That's not peace agreements. Like, and then Donald Trump gets like a fucking a settlement in Israel named after him. I think they're called like the Trump Heights or something like that. In the Golden Heights of all places, where Israel's occupying it illegally under international law, under UN law. It's fucking, bro. You cannot make this shit up. But Biden's trying to tote this whole, like, and that's what it's really for. Increased oil production. That is what it's for. So this bullshit about ending the war on Yemen, that's bullshit. It's about the increased oil production and a normalization with Israel. That's what Israel probably wants. They want to form this alliance against Iran, which Saudi Arabia is all for. But The problem is this isn't this. You can't go around shitting on Putin when you're doing shit like this. Putin is putting the finger up at Israel right now. They had the Palestinians. They hosted the Palestinians. They say that it was just a coincidence. I don't fucking buy that though. Nobody buys that. And they've been warning the Israelis about a lot of shit. So I don't know, man. Shit is getting crazy. But this is what it's about right here. Right here, baby. That's what that shit's about. Oil. Oil, oil, oil. And again, to the degrowth, fucking environmentalist, tree hugger people, again, look, my personal belief, yes, climate change is the issue. No, you're not going to fix it with fucking wind turbines and solar panels. You're going to fix it with nuclear power. Oh, nuclear fusion. We should be investing in that, not wasting our resources on that bullshit. But in the meantime, we're not going to make working class people suffer so we can chase it. So you can chase this bullshit, green energy thing. Real shit. Really. Khashoggi I wouldn't be surprised. I know he had that Israeli spyware on his phone. This anti-Russia is inspired a lot by Zbigniew Brzezinski and his book, The Grand Chessboard. Man, I don't even know what that is, bro. Chris, you're going to tell me about that. I don't know what that is. I do not know what that is. I just know bullshit when I see it, bro. Like literally at this point, when you hear the United States government, who supports most of the world's dictators, whenever you hear them say, a leader of a country is a brutal dictator, he's abusing his people, I'm usually going to call bull. Like, bro, they've said this about Maduro. That like literally fucking Kyle Kalinske just on debating Jordan Peterson. Like this is why the left, like, we need to stop letting social democrats and social reformists lead the leftist movement here in America. People like Kyle Kalinske should be fucking shamed and yeeted out of the movement. Because this nigga just concedes everything to Jordan Peterson. Well, yeah, I know Venezuela's a authoritarian hellhole. Russia sucks. The USSR sucked. China sucks. Every communist and socialist country sucks. But man, look, we just really need wind turbines and healthcare. Okay, like, no, nigga, that's not what this shit is. Okay, I'm gonna read it. I think you sent it to me, Bill. I think you sent it to me, bro. I'm gonna have to check because I think you sent that book to me, if I'm not mistaken. If not, I'm gonna definitely buy it and check it out or get the PDF for it. But people like that, like, yo, you just can see, like, let me know, like in Venezuela, for example, what dictator do you know lets a guy who tried to kill him, who literally colluded with a foreign hostile power that tried to assassinate him on like 3 different occasions, and then this guy tried to assume power via a coup. He runs around calls himself the president to this day. What dictator lets that guy live in the country? He's still in the country. Juan Guaido's in the country. This nigga got attacked by the people because they now know who the fuck he is. He's the guy that's been making your lives miserable economically, calling for sanctions on you guys. The people attack him in the streets, but other than that, the government doesn't fuck with him. This nigga was out getting a fucking sandwich at Subway and they attacked him. What dictator lets a guy walk around and gets Subway? Please let me know. Please let me know. Do you think Joe Biden would have let Donald Trump go get a sandwich at Subway and called himself the president of the United States still? Do you think that was still like pretending? Like we get Donald Trump says certain things about the election. We get that. But what I'm saying is if Donald Trump just basically was like, nah, I'm still president, I'm about to go get a sandwich at Subway. You think Joe Biden would allow that to happen? Joe Biden may not even know what's going on, let's be honest. But, what type of dictator lets a nigga walk around in his country like after he like I said, colluded with a foreign power to have him killed on 3 different occasions? Shit is wild. Let's go ahead and get back to the article, close out this article. But going into that oil production, though, that's crazy, though, because Macron did tell Biden that the UAE, Saudi Arabia, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, can barely raise oil output. I may read that article after this one. To remove restrictions on weapon sales to Saudi Arabia will ignite opposition from both Democrats and Republicans who have been vocal critics of Riyadh. Republicans critical of Saudi Arabia? Holy shit. Okay. It's so crazy how for the longest time Fox News would like go on and on about Sharia law when it comes to Iran and Syria, which I'm pretty sure I don't think Syria has Sharia law. From what I've heard, Syria is one of the most like westernized countries in the Arab world. That's part of the reason why the Gulf states doesn't like Syria. But regardless, you know how Fox News would always do those segments about how like Muslims were taking over parts of like cities and shit and instituting Sharia law and things like that. Like, if do you remember that? While in the same breath, like you have the Republican president at the time. I think it was Bush at the time, if I'm not mistaken. No, they were running these things during the Obama era, but still, regardless, it's still hilarious. Like Fox News was running these like segments about Muslims. They turned out to be fake, of course, but like, and like, I think the places were like Europe and shit like that, and they were instituting Sharia law in like European places and shit like that, and like literally, they're perfectly fine with Donald Trump going to shake hands with like the main country that institutes Sharia law. It's insane. It's insanity. It's insanity. Yeah, the Islamophobia was rampant, man, and it's crazy. It's crazy because I don't think you see it as much anymore. I think it's more so like honestly at this point, America, like you don't have to point the finger at anybody, like at immigrants or like just point at a Democrat. Tell a Republican that's a Democrat. Yo, Democrats and Republicans is like Crips and Bloods right now, bro. I swear to God, bro. Oh my God, these niggas like, you rocking that? Literally, they get both colors are red and blue. Both colors are red and blue. Oh, you rocking them wrong colors, son. Oh, you rocking that Trump hat, nigga? All right, I'm like, bro, it's crazy. It's crazy, dog. It's crazy when you like you don't even have to create enemies no more because they've literally made enemies. American people see their fellow Americans as the enemy. It's fucking. It's not crazy when you understand, you know, how the ruling class works. But man, continuing though, while Biden in his presidential campaign called Saudi Arabia a pariah, his administration's approach to Riyadh has softened up since the beginning of the war in Ukraine, which has coerced the United States and other Western countries to appeal to Saudi Arabia to pump more oil. Riyadh, upon agreeing to a 2-month-long extension of the armistice in Yemen, gained praise from Washington, who is pushing for a permanent ceasefire. However, if Biden were to scrap the restrictions, this will be an igniter of a renewed debacle on Capitol Hill. His visit to Saudi Arabia to many is seen as a gift of legitimacy to Saudi de facto leader Mohammed bin Salman. He doesn't care. He didn't take this nigga's call. He doesn't care. He's not going to care unless Trump comes back in the office. They don't care. Bro, they really don't give a fuck. But the crazy part is, though, because I saw this article earlier, I forgot to include it in my Saudi Arabia coverage I did, but like, it kind of seems like Biden's going there for no fucking reason. Now, look, maybe this might not be 100% true, because at the same time, like when the United States was running around to everybody that they fucked over to pump oil, you know, they were going to Maduro. They finally recognized him as president. They were like, "Oh, you're President Maduro. We swear, we bow at your president's excellency." I don't even know what the fuck I'm trying to say right now. They were talking about renewing, getting back into the Iran nuclear deal, but you know they dropped that like a heartbeat. They told Iran to fuck off. I think they actually put more sanctions on them the other day, like this past week. And then obviously Venezuela hasn't seen any breakthrough. So I think something might come through with this, maybe, or maybe we might see, a closer to an end of what is it? Closer to the end of the war in Ukraine. Who knows? But the Crown Prince of the United Arab Emirates, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, told French President Emmanuel Macron on Monday that the top OPEC oil producers, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, can barely increase oil production. I had a call with MBZ. Macron was heard telling U.S. President Joe Biden on the sidelines of the G7 summit. He told me two things. I'm at a maximum production capacity. Second, he told me the Saudis can increase a little bit, 150,000 of barrels per day or a little bit more. They don't have huge capacities at this stage, Macron said. Brent oil prices rose more than $2 per barrel as a result of the news, reaching more than $115 per barrel amid tight global supplies and rising demand. Saudi Arabia and the UAE have been viewed as the only two countries in the world's producer group, the organization of petroleum exporting countries, so OPEC, that have some spare capacity and could help increase global deliveries. And look, like I said, during the Obama era, we leaned on them to manipulate the prices to fuck over Russia back in 2014 over Crimea, and also with Venezuela, to fuck with Venezuela as well. Nonetheless, the West is looking for ways to cut Russian oil imports in order to punish Moscow for its military operation in Ukraine. And going back to that statement I just said, Russia learned its lesson and prepared for this. Because, like I said, they went into a really bad, deep recession because of it, and they learned their lesson. And Putin vowed to his people he was going to learn his lesson from this, from that situation in 2014. So, Saudi Arabia currently produces 10.5 million barrels per day and has a nameplate capacity of 12 million to 12.5 million barrels per day, allowing it to increase output by 2 million. The UAE produces approximately 3 million barrels per day, has a capacity of 3.4 million, and is working to increase it to 4 million per day. Macron stated that it would be good for oil markets if both OPEC heavyweights could barely Macron stated that it would be good for oil markets if both OPEC heavyweights could barely raise output. Europe is looking for ways to replace up to 2 million barrels per day of Russian crude and 2 million barrels per day of refined products that were imported from Moscow prior to the military operation in Ukraine. In March, the UAE asked Western nations to be reasonable in their expectations, reiterating its commitment to the global OPEC energy alliance. The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, led by Saudi Arabia and its 10 partners, including Russia, have formed an alliance to stay. Despite rising requests to raise output to calm the turbulent oil market, UAE's energy minister, Suhail al-Mazroui, said it would be difficult with nations facing a natural decline reduction, owing in large part to declining long-term investments in the oil business. Probably because the United States is sanctioning a lot of them. That probably has a lot to do with it as well. It is worth noting that oil prices fell over 3% as investors are worried that the Federal Reserve's rate rises would send the U.S. economy into recession, lowering demand for fuel. Brent oil futures dropped $2.91 to $2.91 or 2.5% to $111.74 a barrel. The global benchmark fell to 107.3, its lowest level since May 19th. West Texas Intermediate, WTI, crude oil in the United States decreased 3.33% or 3% to close at $106.19 per barrel. The low for the session was $101.53, the lowest since May 11th. And U.S. running out of supply. Moreover, attempting to curb the prices of oil in the U.S., Washington has been actively using its strategic petroleum reserve for over a year. Bloomberg reported this news on Friday and highlighted that the government cannot continue to tap into the reserves in the long run. Bloomberg's report showed that the U.S. has released about 115 million barrels throughout the past year. Since mid-May, approximately 1 million barrels have been released marking a new record. At the current pace of oil production, the reserves will shrink to a 40-year low with only 358 million barrels remaining by the end of October. Last year, the SPR location in Texas and Louisiana reportedly contained 621 million barrels. According to official information, the U.S. is set to stop extractions from SPR in October. The report stated that as the oil market looks today, it's difficult to see how Washington can halt sales in October. Removing that additional supply will mean commercial inventories quickly deplete, putting upward pressure on oil prices. I have an easy solution. Let's stop this bullshit war in Ukraine. That's an easy issue right there. That's an easy fix. So, yeah. We're not going to do that. We're going to shit on Russia for being, authoritarian country. But not good old Saudi Arabia. Good old freedom-loving Saudi Arabia. They get to stay. What am I about to cover next? Honestly, I think I'm about to end it there. Honestly. Because your boy is tired. I kind of want to get some sleep in. I got to make a phone call. But I did want to let you guys know before I hopped off, though. Because I had 2 more stories left. I think I'll move into Wednesday and just cover them on Wednesday. So, but before I go, though, I want to let you guys know your boy is writing his first article. Yeah. I'm literally almost done. I just have to get somebody to proofread it and make the edits and things like that. So it should be out sometime this week. I want to try and get it out like Thursday or Friday. But I'm hoping, that's my time frame to get it out. It's going to be posted on my Patreon. You guys know I don't have a paywall on there, so go check it out and read it when I do post it. I think you're going to like it. And I'm going to be doing more written pieces. I'm actually working on kind of like an investigative piece, more just like I don't know, maybe investigative. I don't know. We'll see what it's called when I finish it. But yeah, your boy, really trying to get into that. So I like writing. So we're going to see how that works. But thanks, man. Yeah, it's going to be dope. I hope you like it. I'll post the link on like my Twitter and everything. So you guys can go check it out and read it and all that. So I hope you like it. Everything. So, but with that being said, guys, I'm about to go hit the hay. So thank you for tuning in tonight. As always, it's a pleasure to cover the news with you guys. I hope you liked my insights into everything. You guys said I was killing it, so had a good time killing it for you guys. That's what I do, man. I just call the fuckery out where I see it. That's what I do. I'm up there with the GOATs, bro. I think I'm one of the best. Look, man, maybe this is rapper mentality too, because I'm a rapper too. I think I'm the best at everything. I swear to God, I'm one of the best lefty YouTube people, like lefty, like show, podcast, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I feel like I can like out-talk any of these niggas, bro. Any of them. Put me up against any of them, I'll fucking demolish them. I'm not a debate me, bro, guy, though. I just like giving my analysis and commentary. And if it leads to a debate, so be it. Like, I don't like approaching a thing saying, I'm going to debate this person. Like, it's fucking retarded to me. Because, like, most of these debates don't end up going anywhere. It ends up just being bullshit and everything. So, guys, I'm going to try and do, earlier, since I didn't know what I was doing, Josh was texting me to tell me to do the open forum. I think I'm going to try and do that Fridays. So just be ready on Fridays. Bring topics, too. Bring topics. I'm going to drop the link down for motherfuckers to come on and just chat with me, man. Like, we tried to get Chris on last time. Chris H, we tried to get him on last time, but we were having technical issues. So hopefully we can get it straightened out this Friday. But I'm going to be doing at the end of the show, I'm going to leave time for it, probably like half an hour, 45 minutes, something like that, depending on if anybody, because last time I left it open, nobody came. So I dropped the link and everything. Nobody wanted to hop on and talk to me. But Friday, I will be doing a forum. I'm going to drop the link to have you guys come on and get it popping. So whether you want to talk about the topics I talked about during the show or you have your own topics you want to talk about, bring them on and we'll talk about it and kick it, honestly. It's going to be more of a chill time. So I think you guys would enjoy that. What else? Yeah, that's it. Look out for my article. Yeah, follow your boy, share everything, like, subscribe, and share all that. Yeah, go check out the Patreon if you can. It would be loved if you could leave a contribution as well. It's nothing behind the paywall, so you don't have to worry about that. But like I said, a contribution would be dope and very well appreciated. You can also leave a contribution following any of the show, following any of the links down below to our Cash App. I think I have something else too down there. I forget what else it is, but just go look at the information down below if you guys want to help keep the show afloat. But with that being said, I will see you guys Wednesday. Thanks for tuning in. Peace. Easy.